our primary host is like SAP HANA. SAP HANA is our primary host. So there is a one more host we have that is called the SAP Linux 1. SAP Linux 1. That is the second one more host we have, SAP Linux 1. So here both the hosts should be, we have to verify it as part of the steps. So first of all, we need to verify the SAP HANA primary and secondary. Both should be accessible. Both the should be accessible here. So let me go and verify it here. Right? Yes, it is the okay. It is having some space, that is fine. And also check the some memory also here. Okay, so that is fine. And also here you check here. This is also how much space we have. And the same space should be primary and the secondary should be having, or more than that also. Right? So it is okay now. Let's go to install the database here. Let's see here any database is installed or not. So here I think HDB is already installed here. HDB is already installed. Let me go and verify the system here. HDB 02. I think we have, so there 02 is there. So see here HDB 02, right? HDB 02 is there. So in the primary also both the databases should be running here. So HDB 02 here, right? 02 is there here. HDB 02. So is there. So both are there here, right? Both are there here. Both are there and up and running, right? That is what is our assumption. So connect to the secondary also here, right? We need to open the secondary also. We have to open it here. So for this one, you need to, so SAP Linux 1. So what is our host instance number? 02 multi-container, then systemdb. So what I can do here, so secondary HDB. For the naming convention purpose, I am using this one, right? Description. Just use the same thing here. I have added here, right? Secondary systemdb also added. Why? Because you will get confused here. Why? Because both are the systemdb. So right, you will get confused here. So that's why description you have to use it here. Description you need to use it here. Then so 02 multi-container tenant DB, right? So tenant DB here. System. Then right. So see here, this is also I have added. So both are. Oh, I think I must to add that one. Okay. So here if you use it Linux system 02, right? This is the description. So this is the first primary. This is the secondary, right? This is the primary and secondary. Primary, secondary, primary, secondary. So like that we have the, so 4 databases we have added here. So seems so our colleague Narayana added. So Narayana done the some users, he done it, some data he created in the primary. Now we want to establish the high availability for the primary here. So he added few users, he added. Verify in the system DB of the secondary also you have the similar data is available or not. Okay. So let me verify here. So users, right? No, nothing is there here. See here, no users are there. So now what happens if I do the replication now? Whatever the data is there here, same data will be replicated to the here also. Here means here in the secondary also it will be replicated. Means whatever the users are there here, whatever the data is there here, whatever the things are there here, all will be replicated to the in the secondary database. That is what our aim, right? Why? Because in the disaster recovery scenarios, so data should replicate from here to here, it should replicate it here. Something happens here, then this should be up and all the data operations will happen from here. Why? Because it's like all the data operations will happen from here. So that is what we are planning to do, right? So that is what. Why? Because if the data is not replicating here, then so if the primary is down, if you start the secondary, there is no data. Then how users can log in, how users can do their business operations and everything. So it's not possible here, right? Half percentage, halfway he done the work here, then remaining halfway he has to do the work here. Then, but before the first halfway work, so you should replicate it to the here, right? So here the replication concept through pipe concept, so the water means the data will be replicated from, so this tank to this tank. The tank 1 to tank 2 should be replicated. So without the water in this location, how the data will be synced here? So it's not possible here. So that is the reason we need to check the systems. Both the systems are up and running here. So then in the secondary side, once this is done, in the primary, we have to enable it here, right? Primary, we have to enable the replication here. So right click and, so as we discussed yesterday steps, we have to enable the replication here, right? Go to the here, so configure the system replication in the primary. So just enable that one. Then it will open the one wizard here. It will open the wizard, enable the system replication on the primary side. Primary side source system, you have to enable it. So we thought primary is the SAP HANA database, right? So then we have enabled this one. We are enabling the, so when you are enabling this one in the primary here, just click on the next button. What is the site name here? So primary logical site name here. When was the last backup we have taken here? So 2023 9/11, right? So it's like 11th. Yesterday, I guess. Yesterday, I guess we have taken the backup.
Yes,
So
sir.
what?
Yesterday night.
So what? Yesterday night you have taken. So before the backup, in that backup, do you have all these users are available in the primary? These users, whatever the users you created. So let's see what's there here. Okay. So now let me try to PRI primary. Okay. This is the primary site name, right? Just click on the finish button so that you are enabling the, so why? Because your sequence of steps are very important. Sequence of steps are very important. So you have enabled now, right? Then go to the secondary now. So go secondary. This is the secondary. Okay, secondary. Then go to the here. Configure the replication here. So here while configuring the replication here, so is it down? No, not down. Here, this is not down. Okay.
Yeah, I think the
anyway.
SSFS case we need to copy.
Yeah, let's see what if we don't have the, if you don't perform the sequence of copies here. So what type of errors we may get it out. So let's see here. Okay. So if you don't copy, what happens here? Let's see here. See here, you are opening the required wizard. You missed to copy the keys from primary to secondary. You missed that step first of all. You missed that step here. So you missed that step. Then what happens here? What happens here? So then, so here while copying, the secondary should be stopped status. Secondary, you have to stop the secondary here. Then only you will get the, so this second option you will get it out here. So recover the database, so and register the database into the primary. So I have initiated the stop command here. Why? Because it should be stopped status in the SAP Linux one. So okay, in between I have missed one step that I know. I missed one step, really copying the SSF keys from the, so primary to secondary. So why it is very important to copy this one, right? So another way we will do the testing now. So without copying the, we will do the testing. So see what type of errors we may get it out now. Okay, so I have stopped the database now, right? I have stopped the database now. Let me try to refresh once. Okay, I have stopped it now. Go back to the here, just to configure the system replication here in the secondary. So the wizard will come now. Recovery wizard should come now. So previously, before you stopping, we got the screen like enable the system replication. After stopping and stopped the database, just click on the recovery, register the secondary. We got it here. Register the system as secondary of the primary system, right? So this is the secondary. So secondary you are registering here. What is the secondary host name? Secondary system logical name. So sec, I given the sec here. Just site name, logical name, anything you can give it here. So here you have the three types of replication modes are available here. So three types of replication modes are available here. So one is the sync, and second one is the sync and async and sync mem. So there the three replication modes are available here. Sync mem, async. So these are the three types of replication modes are available in the HANA database, right? HANA database. So what is mean by synchronous? What is mean by synchronous replication modes here? Synchronous, so replication modes in the HANA database here. Synchronous means the primary will send the data to why? Because in the every database we have the main memory and data folders are available at operating system level. So during the save point, the data will come to the here, right? This is the persistency layer. Normally this layer we will call data folder. There is in the HANA language we have the persistency layer here. This one is the RAM memory. It's called as the main memory. So right. So whenever the data is going to the primary due to replicating, data is going to the primary to the secondary. If you choose the sync mem, then that will go to the memory. That is go to the memory. If you choose the synchronous, that will go to the disk level. It is going to the disk level, data folder level. This is called the persistency layer level. It will go to the here. Synchronous means the primary, the data will come to the, let me take this one. Okay. So the data comes to the primary here. The data comes to the primary here. Then immediately the data comes to the primary here. Then immediately the data goes to the secondary node here. Then after that, the secondary will receive the data, then will inform to the primary, will send the next data here. Then immediately the primary will send the second data, then same data will go and insert into the database level. Then it will send the acknowledgement back to the primary saying that, oh, I received it. Same kind of like, so in the previous days, I hope you remember, right? In the smartphone, not the smartphone, in the normal phones, when you send the message to your friend, you will get the one message has been delivered. Like that, you will get the one acknowledgement. Nowadays, that option I could not see in the smartphones, right? So I hope you have seen, right? When you send the message, if you enable it in not in the smartphones, in different other phones, small first phones. So when you send the message to them, if you enable the delivery option, the message will go to display your friend phone. Then immediately you will receive the response, right? The acknowledgement saying that message has been delivered. Something like that, one pop-up will come to our mobile phones, right? So I hope you remember this concept, right? So that is the same concept here. So data will come to the here, then same data will reach to the here secondary, then the secondary will send the acknowledgement back to the primary saying that, hi boss, I have received your transaction, go ahead and send the one more transaction. So in this way, both are in the sync mode, both are in the sync, and the data is not, there is no data loss here. There is no data loss activities here. So that is what will happen in the synchronous mode, synchronous. Okay, synchronous mode means, so it will wait for the acknowledgement here. So sync mem means the primary system commit the transaction. So and the secondary will send the response primary. So stored into the main memory level. In memory level, it will send the data here. Primary will send the data here. Then if you select the sync mem, it will go to the memory. If you select the persistency layer like sync, then it will go to the persistency layer. That is the difference here. That is the major difference here, right? So because here the speed of the IO does not influence. So here, so the speed of the secondary system, primary system, there is no difference. There is no issues here. There is no IO issues. There is nothing. Why? Because both the systems should be same sync. Otherwise, there is no transaction lock here. So when the primary and secondary fail at the same time while secondary is connected, then data is not written to the disk here. That is the one thing. When the data loss happens here, so when the data loss happens here, so secondary is available, primary down. So that time you have some data loss activity. Otherwise, so secondary down, then still primary up means in the primary you may face some performance issues. Why? Because so primary keep on sending to the secondary will not send any acknowledgement. Then the primary will wait. Primary will not commit the second transaction. Primary will not commit the second transaction here. So that is the one of the disadvantage of having the synchronous mode here. So sync means so it will go and store the data in the persistency layer, means in the data folder in the persistency in the secondary system here. So when the connection to source system to primary system is lost, when the connection is lost between two systems, here the system continuously processing the changes to the local disk. So no data loss here, local disk. Why? Because the connection is lost here. So even though the data folder is available, right? So then it will send the data to the data folder here. So data folder here. See here. So if you select the synchronous, so it will send the directly to the disk level, so that there is no data loss here. If you are sending to the main memory, if the connection is lost, then all the data flushed out, right? So that is the main disadvantage of having the this one, like sync mem and synchronous. But sync mem is the very speed up fast option. Sync mem is the very fast option here. That is the sync mem. So we have the one more option. If you see here, one more option that is called the asynchronous. Asynchronous. What is meant by asynchronous option here? So during the DR scenario, primary to DR, we will use the asynchronous mode here. In this asynchronous mode, the primary system sending the acknowledgement to the primary system will send the data to primary, will send the data acknowledgement to the secondary. So then it's keep on sending the data to the secondary. It does not wait for the response. Synchronous means it will wait for the response. Asynchronous means it does not wait for the response. So it will not, the primary will not bother about whether I receive, it's kind of smartphone. So where primary will not bother. You keep on sending the messages to your friend. You keep on sending the data to your secondary friend. Then you are not sure whether my secondary friend whether received or not. You are keep on sending. So that's why whether if any data loss, the secondary is down, so you keep on committing the transactions here. There is no data, there is systems are not in sync here, right? So during the DR scenario, we will choose the asynchronous mode. During the DR scenario, we will choose the asynchronous mode here. So that is the main thing here. That is the main thing here. The next one, got it right? So I hope you understand, right? The acknowledgement here, the acknowledgement you will receive it here. The acknowledgement you will receive the acknowledgement here. That is the main thing here. So now you see here, there is a operational mode, delta data shipping. What is this mean? These two are required here. Operational modes, right? So operational mode, these two are required for the for configuring the configuring the replication, the high availability configurations during the HANA time. These two are required here. These two are required here. So what is mean by delta data shipping here and log replay? Now we know replication. Three types of replication modes here: synchronous and sync mem and asynchronous. Asynchronous normally we will use for the disaster recovery scenarios. Then synchronous or synchronous memory, that's your wish, which one you want to use it. This is go to the in memory, this is go to the file system level. So that is go to the file system level. These are the two modes. That is both the modes, synchronous or synchronous in memory. You should get the response from the secondary, then only it will commit the next transaction code. In this way, both the systems are fine. Okay, so we'll use the synchronous here, synchronous. So then what is mean by log replay or delta data shipping here, right? So these modes are very important. If you go anywhere, the people will concentrate only on these things here, right? So three types of operational modes, three types of replication modes and operational modes here. Okay, replication modes, then operation modes. Okay. Replication operation modes here. So replication modes here, right? So one is the sync. The second one is the sync mem, right? And the third one is the async. There is no acknowledgement here. So it will keep on DR scenario called the delta data shipping. Delta data shipping here. So what is mean by delta data shipping here? So using this mode, it will establish the replication occasionally. Per default, every 10 minutes, the data will be delta. The data will be shipped to the continuously shipping to the shipping to the secondary side. The log replay mechanism here. The secondary system will receive the entries that the primary to secondary, the secondary will receive the entries, but it does not replay them until it has been takeover. So normally the logs here, this is the data, right? Data folder, data level. This is the logs here, log shipping, log replay, delta data shipping means. So every 10 minutes here, for default is the 10 minutes here. So this mode establish the system replication every 10 minutes. So the data delta shipping means the data will be shipped to the every 10 minutes. So to the your secondary side. Then the secondary system receive the log entries from the primary. The primary to primary will from primary to secondary, it will receive the transactional logs, but the logs will not be replayed. The logs will not be replayed. So here that is the reason. So normally people it won't prefer during the takeover time, it may take longer time. Takeover means whenever you are taking over the primary, secondary as a primary. So due to some issues, that time it may take time here. So that is the reason here people will use the log replay mechanism here. So log replay mechanism means in this operation modes, so system continuously the logs will be replayed on the secondary immediately after the arrival of the log from the primary to secondary. Immediately the log will be replayed, so that it will the replay. The takeover timelines is very less here. Since why? Because here log is continuously replayed, the secondary system takeover immediately. So if the system fails, immediately the logs replay will happen. Then immediately secondary will can start the secondary. So we can do that one. So that is the log replay mechanism here. Delta data shipping means for every 10 minutes once the data will be shipped to the secondary. Then every 10 minutes one, not continuously, every 10 minutes once the data is shifted to the secondary, but will not be replayed. Replayed means will not be re-executed the transactions here. That is called the replayed. So replayed here. Here continuously will be replayed here. So during the DR scenario or some other scenario, normally this won't prefer. Only this is the very preferable option for the DR or this one. A log replay mechanism is the very important here. So let's show the log replay here. So what is the source system information here? Source SAD is the SAP HANA. So maybe we can use the full host name instead of SAP HANA. Sometimes it won't talk to the primary. We can use the full host name here. Full host name here means FQDN, fully qualified domain name. You can use it here, right? So initiate the full data shipping. Full data, whatever the data is there in the primary, you should go to the secondary here. Then start the secondary after the registration. Click on the finish button. Then here, if it is successfully registered, then we are good. Otherwise, we may get the error like, see here. See what is that here? It's saying that now you can see. So what step we missed now? So here error while executing the registry command. Why? Because the primary, the secondary has different SSFS keys data. So unable to contact the primary. So that is what we missed the step. Is it correct? Right? That is what we have done it here. So that's why don't miss the steps whatever we discussed yesterday. So next one, as soon as you enable the replication, or we need to copy the keys from primary to secondary, we need to copy the keys. That is what we missed the step, right? So now we need to copy. So what happens if we don't copy here, right? That is what our do. So what happens means this will happen now. We won't get registered here. Secondary, it won't get registered into the primary site here. Let's go to the host name of the primary here. Then username. Okay. So then go to the USR. So where is SAP? Where is SID? Then where is SYS? Where is SYS global? And where is security? And this one. Okay. This is data and this one. Why? Because this is the SSF keys. So this is data and the keys. Enter the folder. I will enter folder. I will copy what's there here. Okay. Then I copy it to the here. Now I will connect to the my secondary system SAP Linux 1. Right. So then username entered here. The password you have entered here. Then the same location of the secondary, so slash USR, same location USR. So SAP, SID, SYS, global, security. So this one we replace it, right? What I am doing here, just replace it here. So it is asking the override, right? Override here. So existing one has the recent update. So new one has the longer update. Just click on the OK button so that the folder is replaced here. Now this one is the both are same now. So now go ahead and finish it here. Let's see here now. Yes, it's done. See now its replication is done now. It's configured now. Sir, how can we check whether the replicating the data or not here? Go to the primary here. So then go to the primary here. So errors in the replication now. See here, the replication tab is enabled here. Go to the system DB. Just go to the system replication here. Now see here, what is the primary host? SAP HANA. Secondary host, SAP Linux 1. You used the sync replication, right? Then replication status. So here, so database was stopped and not initialized. So here see database what was stopped status here. Database was stopped status here. So why? Because the secondary, so we have to start the secondary here. Secondary, we should start it here, the secondary database. It will start automatically. So normally, yeah, it started. See here, up to some level it started. Maybe someone created the one more tenant. Why? Because this tenant we have not done it here. We have not created here. So something wrong here. So maybe let's see here. So one is active here. It is coming to the active status here, right? Then it will come. Why? Because primary and secondary should be same status here. But here, what is thing is happening here? So here we have one more tenant database is created, I guess, in the primary or secondary. I'm not sure. So that is the reason you can see TDB was stopped and not yet initialized. Not yet initialized here. So it's starting. The starting replication is starting mode here. Starting. So when the name server got replicated, primary to secondary, right? So name server got replicated. Here we can observe it here. So now it's syncing. See here, the backup entries are getting logged. Replication status is syncing here. See here, it is getting the syncing here. So the data primary and what are the logs is replayed here. What is the last log position here? What is the save point log position here? The count, it should be match it here, everything, right? It should be matching. Should put the log position here. So 12973,250 here. So log positions here. It should be replicate. All the logs should be replicated here. All the logs should be replicated from the primary to secondary, which means it should come to the active status here, right? You see, active. This is the one more tenant database. I think this was not created. We can ignore this now for now, but because this is the HDB we are doing, HDB, right? HDB related one, system DB and name server related file systems and tenant related two file systems, the access engine and index server. These three will be active here. Synchronous, it's active. Active means so system is in the active status here. System is in the active status. The replication is happening now, right? It's done. Replication is done already. So, right, you can see here the replication is done now. So you can see, observe it here. Whatever will happen here, the same will be happen in the secondary also. Same will happen in the secondary also. So suppose, but secondary will not be accessible now. Why? Because it's a secondary. You cannot connect now. Secondary has a here. Cannot connect it here. Secondary database now. But the data will be replicated here. The data will be replicated here. Sir, how can we ensure whether the data is replicating or not? How can we know? Yeah, we can know now. So how to means now the replications are happening. Now what I can do here, I will create the one user. Immediately I will create the user. Immediately I will use the takeover command here. Okay. So I will create one dummy user. Dummy user I'm creating here. Why? Because same user is not available in the secondary. One dummy user I'm creating here to replicate the data here. Okay. One dummy user I created now. Okay. Dummy.
The secondary system in down state, right?
Yeah, it's in online status only. It's not available for the user access. Why? Because secondary should not
Application
be
is
available.
down.
Yeah, yeah. It's only this read-only mode. It's only read-only mode. It's not available. But if you go in the voice level, you go to the voice level here, if you check it out, it should be available. It is available. See here, it is available. Index server, everything is available here, HDB. But this is a secondary, SAP Linux 1. The primary you see, that is also available. In the primary also, if you see here, that is also available here in the primary also. So, but primary, you can access, you can connect to the primary and you can do whatever you want. But same data will replicate to the secondary. But if you log into the secondary, it won't allow you to log in. First of all, it won't allow you to log in. Why? Because because this is a secondary. Secondary, you cannot perform any direct changes. That's why DB connection is not possible here. Then how can I check that, sir? My data is replicated during the takeover timelines. Data will be replicated. Here you can check, right? So here you can check in the primary. Go to the primary. Here you can check sync is active or not. If it is active, then definitely the data is replicating. So now I created the one dummy user. So now what I can do here, I will go to the secondary. I am in the secondary. You can see the secondary host. Right click and just configure the replication. Here we can use the takeover command. Takeover command means here my secondary as the primary now. So my primary as my former primary as a secondary, it will come to the takeover. So just I'm using the takeover so that this will take over the from primary. Primary means now what will happen here? Now what will happen here? Takeover command. This takeover command, what will happen? So
Here my doubt is,
data will be
why we
yeah.
Sir, why we need to do the takeover?
Just for testing purpose, whether the data is syncing or not, we need to test, right? Then how can we test now? Whether my user is logged in, my user is replicated to the secondary or not. Why? How can we test now? But because you cannot connect now secondary. Why? Because secondary is not available now. Secondary, whatever the service are there now, it's not available here. It's not available. Even you cannot connect it here. Why? Because it's secondary. You registered as a secondary. When you register as a secondary, it's not available for the user connections. It's not available for the user connection here. Now you are taking over. Taking over means, so you are becoming secondary as a primary, then primary as a secondary now. Takeover. Takeover means your role switching. Role switching over, they are taking over here. So performing the takeover now. See here, its takeover is happening now. Takeover means, let me take you example here. This is the primary. This is the secondary, right? Here HDB. So data is replicating from here to here. Data is replicating, right? Data is replicating here. So all user connections are now pointing to the primary only, right? So primary, while replication, while HA is on, you cannot connect to the secondary. Why? Because secondary is not available for the user connections. It's only receive the data. It's not, you cannot you cannot log in and you cannot do anything here. While you register the secondary as a into primary side. So you cannot do anything here. No one, not only me or not only you, anyone cannot do any changes in the secondary. Why? Because if you do the changes secondary, then here you have the one thing here, you have the one more thing here, data systems are not in sync, right? So that is the reason SAP is not allowed to log into the secondary. Then you have to log into the primary, do the transactions, and same data will be replicated through modes to it will replicate it to the here. So now I want to test whether it is replicating or not. In that case, what you have to do, you need to take over command, you have to use it. In this case, what will happen? So all connections will map to the, so this is the primary and this is the secondary. Whenever perform the takeover, this will be primary, this is the secondary will happen. Like this, the takeover commands for testing purpose, we can use it here. I think it's done. Takeover is done here. So which means now it is accessible. Now you can see, now it is accessible. Now that I think now system is accessible now, right? So I can log in now. Let me, so log off. This is a secondary, right? Previously we got the error, right? Now let me try to log in here. Yes, see here, I connected to my secondary here. Former secondary previously connected. Now it's done. So now check the data. Check the, like previously we have the all the data is there here. All the data is there and replicated we have. So this is the primary. Let's leave it out this one. Previous primary here. Previous primary here. Then you configure the replication to the secondary. Now enable it. Let's see the data here. Yes, you can see the same in the secondary host. All the data came now. All the data came to the secondary also. So how means the data are replicated. Even that the recent creation change also, dummy user also, it's there in the secondary. Previously you have done in, where you done? You have done in the here. In the primary you have done it here. Primary you have done it here. So now, so same changes is replicated to the here also. In the secondary also it's replicated. So that is the concept of the takeover command. The takeover command. So takeover
While performing that, sir, while performing takeover, primary system go down, right?
Yeah, takeover means, so manual takeover. Normally something is happens in the primary. So something is happens in the primary, automatically it will switch to the secondary, right? So but
Yes.
that is the reason what we did is we manually take over. And take over means taking over the responsibility, taking over the primary responsibility in the secondary. That is what we have done it now. So primary will not be down. Now in this case, we have not done anything in the primary. Primary also will be accessible here. But only thing is here, the replication is disabled status here. Replication is disabled status here. Why? Because we have configured the reverse replication. So reverse replication. Replication is disabled status here. So that is the concept of the replication here. So now I will disable it here. Then what you can do, you can configure it the replication now. I will disable it. So you guys can do the practice of the HDB replication configuration here. So yeah, I will remove these keys also. Try to do, so I will remove the keys also. See here, the keys is the very primary here. Without this one, you cannot configure it also, right? So you are disabling now. Oh, before disabling itself, I remove the keys. That. Okay. So right click, configure the replication, SID ADM. Because I'm disabling everything here. Because again, when you are reconfiguring, so it won't come to the configure the replication button until I disable it here. So I have done it. I have disabled it now. Now both are in the separate database. Now replication is not configured here. Both are in the separate database here. So this is the way we can configure the replications here. So try to perform the same from your side also, configuring the replications primary to secondary. Or now what you can do, you can make it as per your test. You can make it as SAP Linux 1 is the primary then. SAP Linux 1. Now SAP HANA 1 is our primary. SAP Linux 1 is your primary. SAP HANA is your secondary. So like that, you can do the sum tests here. And also like that, you can configure the sum test from here to here and here to here. Like that, you can configure it here. So changing the roles here. So this way, you will be perfect. So for changing replication steps and everything. Okay. We got it right. So how to configure this replication modes